Welcome to this video. I'm really happy that we're starting the second part of our course, which Unit 2, that talks about data analytics. And the reason for being excited about it is that data analytics is very important, especially for you. When you graduate in a few years, you will see that you will be surrounded by data. And there are data coming to you from every direction. Data related to your project, to your department, and data related to your organization, and data related to new technologies and new things happening around you that will maybe affect your business and cause you maybe challenges or give you opportunities to do more business. So you need to be prepared how to deal with this data. And this unit is just introduction, but I think it's critical introduction that will help you in the journey of how to deal with data, which one of the most important skills nowadays for anyone, not only people in IT or in business or education, everywhere. So if you are, for example, engineer and you're dealing with projects and you want to look at your projects, how they're going, and what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and some scientific data, health, for example, they're looking at new disease or new drugs to help people fight disease, and that's very important. In business, sales and market shares and important of return of investment, all this based on data science and data analytics. So you need to get the journey. And the great news, you have now some computational and programming skills that will enable you to show how you can use that to do data analytics. So we will be using an important tool. You've seen before when we used Turtle. Turtle simplified many things. You remember in the past, I didn't remember, but I do remember. In the past, to draw those nice graphs you created and chart and objects, it used to be really very challenging. But with Turtle, quickly you can do that. Same thing with data analytics. There's a library called Pandas. And Pandas is especially made for data analytics and data science. Pandas is open source. It means there is a huge community around it. And you will see big organizations are supporting it. And it's growing in terms of functionality and use as well. So it is one of the libraries that we need to import and start using in our code. And it simplifies the process of data analytics. You will see how that can be done. So in this unit, and next unit as well, we will be focusing on few things. One, you will introduce you to data analytics and the process that you need to go through, which this video will do. And then we will start reading data from different sources. One of the sources usually available is Excel. So many files are in Excel, very large and huge files that has so many data. And then how you can access it using Python, Pandas, and how you manipulate and work with the data. Similar to Excel, there is the comma-separated file, and there is the web. There is lots of data on the web. If you go to companies like Yahoo and Google, Finance and Bloomberg, those financial firms, they have lots of data and live chart and live stock prices that keep changing every second. So you can use those data if they are open source, and usually the companies who don't want you to access it, they will have restrictions. They will not make it possible without certain security. So you should use only what has been declared as an open source data or your own data which you already have, either public data or your own data. So these are 3 files, but there are so many different formats of data. As you would expect, there are databases, there's something called JSON, API. Those in IT, usually they are familiar with those tools. Then once you have your data, to deal with the whole big data as whole, it's challenge. So you need to start thinking of how you really divide this data to smaller parts and deal with that part only to build a model and get better understanding. So that's what we call it slice and dice, how you divide your data into smaller components and you start working on those components. So we'll have a technique to do that, which again, slice and dice. And then while you deal with any data, there is some calculation need to be done. Some simple calculation. We're doing here just only giving you the tools. The level of complication and sophistication, it depends on you. And you can take it to a higher level. But if you know how to do the basic things, then you can get to know how to do the more sophisticated things. So we'll do simple calculation in this course. And then the unit after that will be focusing on plotting or chart or visualization. So usually executive management, and they need from you to give them a chart that summarize the situation. Where are the opportunities, where are the challenges, and what some of the cause of those problems. For example, if you have a product that is not doing well, so what the reason behind it? And you get data of customers' feedback, and you look at it, you look at your competitor, what they're doing, and then you come with a chart showing your manager, this is the situation, this is where we are, and this seems to be some of the causes of that problem, and there's some of things maybe we can do. And then he or she will decide based on other data or other sources or strategies he or she has. So these are the things we'll do. Now, it's important for you to know the process, how you perform data analytics. And in anything in life, you're driving your car, there is a process to drive the car. There are steps you have to follow. You can't jump to a step without doing the first one, which is really necessary for the second step to be right. Anything in your life, follow that. So, first thing is you need to come with an objective. What are you trying to achieve? What are you looking for? You have customers who are giving feedback on the product. What are you trying to achieve? Do you want to really increase their satisfaction? You want to increase the sales? You need to find what they need and modify the new product. So what are your aims? So you focus your analysis based on what you want to achieve. So what are the questions that you need to answer? Is it because of the product design, or is it because of something like that? For example, you have student grades, and you know the students are not doing well in a course or few courses. You start looking at what the cause of that, where the student came from, what their background. Have they done the prerequisite or the course that required to do this course? Is the course material and teaching at the right level? So you look at the data that related to this, because knowing what you want to achieve will decide what data you need for the next step, which the next step is important, how you get data, what data you need. So if you know what you want to achieve, you will tell now your manager and other, these are the data I need to have. Provide me with data if they are the people who have the data, or ask IT or ask your information system people. So you get the data. But you know what data you want, and you start collecting this data and acquiring this data. And that means also you write your code to access those data and do some process with it. So that's important, finding your data. And the data will depend on what you want to achieve. Then when you get the data, you will notice there are missing information in the data. There are some columns are not complete. There are extra information that you don't need. It's just extra like comments or note or something not really needed for your analysis. So you start doing cleaning of the data. So cleaning data, filling those gaps you have, removing those you don't need, renaming maybe the columns to something meaningful, and things like that. And that's important process because the data is important for your next step. So you need to have the right data and the clean data to go to the next step. So that's where you do your data cleaning. The next one, you start exploring analysis. So you take small part of that data and you start looking at some correlations or link between data. If I change the design, what will happen? Or if I look at this emirate versus that product, or the other emirate versus the same product, or things like that. So you start looking at exploring different options of your data. Is the student not doing well because of the prerequisite? Let's see those who do not have prerequisite, what they have done in the course. Okay, or is it because of attendance? Those who missed more classes are not really doing well. And usually there is correlation between attendance and doing well in class. So these are some of things you can look at it in your data analytics. Okay? So this will give you better understanding of your data. When you look at all these things, you will find there are some maybe gaps. There's some data. I need to get a data about the student prerequisites or student attendance, so I can correlate it with this one. So you start asking questions and looking for additional data and to fill the gap and do what you want to do. Okay? Once you do your analysis, you will have a conclusion in your mind in terms of you know what you're looking for now, and you have sort of a process you did to analyze the data. So now you need to start building a model. A model is a complete software code that can run the analysis automatic for you. You just upload the file, run your code, you get the chart, you get the summary, you get the tables, you get all the information. Because you already built the process how to analyze your data. There is more advanced step with data modeling and validation, which call machine learning. So machine learning can look at more advanced artificial intelligence steps and models and algorithms to predict what will happen if you do this or you do that. So more advanced. We're not going to cover that in this course, but I'm sure in the future you will meet this one when you graduate, but you have the main skills that will help you to understand that, hopefully. Now you've done that, and you build your model and looked at all how that model can be replicated, means used again and again and again. Now you build the visualization for your management. So you need to give them some charts. And as you said, usually senior people, they wanted a summary, executive summary, something that they look at it, they will understand the situation. And they are usually very experienced people who can, from this chart, they can sense the issue and come with some conclusions. So you draw some different charts. And those charts, each one is good for something, which we'll come to it when we come to the visualization part. There are many of those charts, and you're familiar with them, you have seen them somewhere, but now you will be drawing them using, most of the time, just one line of code. You do that line, then you get the chart. Then you can customize it, adding title, whatever you want to add. Now, then you come to the report. You've done all your analysis, your objectives, data acquisition, cleaned your data, you did some analysis, you created a model, you did a visualization of the data. Now you write a report for your management. And this report, they call it executive summary, which is just a snapshot of the whole thing, summarizing what is the issue, what is the cause of that issue, what are the possible cause of that issue, and what are the possible actions or areas that need to be explored and do. So this process is what people go through when they do data analysis. If you jump any of these steps, you will find a gap, or maybe you will not reach to the next step because the gap is big. And maybe if you reach there, you're not doing the right thing. For example, if you don't have the right clean data, you will not do well. If you don't have the objective, you don't know what you want to look for, then you will be in middle of nowhere and looking everywhere, but you don't know what is the direction. Objective is always important for that. So thank you for listening to this video, and in the next video we'll show you the tool that we're going to use. It's an amazing tool that I'm sure you will enjoy using, and it is industry standard. So when you go to the industry, you will find the same tool or similar tool in the industry. Thank you for listening.